What's up, guys? Welcome to the Wedding Pros Podcast. Today, we're talking about delivering an amazing client experience from wire to wire. Today, we're talking about a topic that is very close to our hearts here at Stop Go Love, which is our wedding brand, in case you didn't know, which is client experience, right?
Yep.
And we think about client experience. That's the term we would use to describe the wire-to-wire experience, all the way from a bride finding us on Instagram or getting a referral down through just delivering a product.
Yep.
Right? And so when we talk about it, we don't really talk like, oh, sales or wedding day. We always say like client experience, like it's one thing.
Yeah. And also, like, we always don't talk about ourselves as, oh, we're a creative company. We always talk about ourselves as a service, a client experience, even service.
A product.
To people. Yeah, even a product for sure.
Yeah, because it's all about like client experience and client expectations and delivering on those expectations, producing like whatever they're expecting to have, And so for those, if you don't know about our brand, Stop Go Love, we shoot around 120 weddings a year, maybe more. Ish between photo, video, and photo booth. Maybe not even including photo booth, but we do a lot of weddings, and we're good at closing leads as well. We close our leads at probably around a 25% rate. We had 600 leads last year, and we signed 160 contracts. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty good. I've heard in the industry it's 5%, and we're closer to 25%. So if you're wondering, why should I listen to these people? That's why. We have over 100 reviews on the Knot and Wedding Wire. Like our customers are happy. So we're not just talking, making this crap up. We're not just these new people. We've been running this for 9 or 10 years. And so for us, I think we know a thing or two about client experience. We built our business on it, and our clients, I think they enjoy working with us.
Yeah. And for me personally, I mean, I like that part of the I still like to do creative, but at the same time, I like the sales process. I think a lot of people tend to veer away from it a little bit and be like, I got to get through this to do the thing that I actually want to do. And I think over time, I just learned to figure out a way to interact with people in a way that I actually enjoyed. And it shows in that people book us, a lot. And it's, I think I've become a pretty decent sales guy just by, enjoying conversation with people and kind of keeping it that simple. So, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about client experience. And one of the things I see in this industry is there's this huge emphasis on consultations, branding, kind of front-end client experience kind of stuff. Yep. What's your Instagram like? All these people, let me review your website. I don't like that website, and also consultations.
Instagram world is like, it's maddening nowadays because it's, I feel like most people spend probably a quarter of their time just worrying about Instagram and Facebook and social media, that, the rest of it kind of becomes second fiddle as far as the experience, the actual experience when you're talking to clients and leading up to the wedding and the whole overall experience.
I like to describe it like this, right?
Yeah.
Your client experience shouldn't start on the mountaintop. Mm-hmm. It should start in the valley. Like the person should be going up. It should be getting better and better and better.
This is deep.
Instead of
I'm
like,
with
you kind of get on and like the first they see your brand, it's amazing. They have this great Instagram. You have a cool promo video. Your website's awesome. All your best work's up there, of course, not the ones that you don't want them to see. They think you're going to be the best person ever. They get a hold of you. They meet you in your hip office. It's so cool. Everything's great. You have the right hat on, and you look awesome, and everything about you is cool. And then you get their money, and then you start emailing them back longer and longer. And then you're like it just gets worse and
Hey,
worse.
you hear
and
about
worse.
it all the time.
And then
Yeah.
by the time like you're done shooting, the person's like hates you.
Yeah.
Because they spent $5,000 on you, and you took 6, 7, 8 months to get them their stuff.
Yep.
And it's like you started up here. They thought they had this fantasy of what it's going to be like to work with you, and the reality was way down here.
Yep.
And it's like that should not be your client experience model. Our experience is you find us, you love it, maybe you're here, but we want it to go. The reality of working with us, we want to be better than you even expected. We want to make your expectations and just defy them in a good way.
Yep.
Exceed them, and even
It's a marathon,
for the delivery,
man.
it is. It's a long form thing. Client experience. A lot of clients, you have them for a year and a half
Yep.
before you even are done with that relationship. So it's a big
For
deal.
better or for worse.
Yep. So let's talk about kind of how we break it down, the stages of client experience a little bit.
Sure.
So we pretty much start with branding, kind of like lead generation and giving a person the right experience. But what do you think about the whole branding movement in the wedding creative world?
Yeah, like we just talked about a little bit, I think people do spend a lot of time on it and they worry about it. You see a lot of people who just started out who are like, I need a brand, and I need a good logo, and my colors need to be right, and then I need to get it on this kind of paper. All things that are, I think, important.
I know people that redo their website every year.
But nobody, when they first start out, think about systems, and they don't think about, okay, well, what is my client experience
Hopefully
going
that's
to be?
changing, by the way, with the proliferation of like Honeybook and 17
Yeah. Oh,
Hats.
totally.
Hopefully that it's easier than ever to have like an organized system.
Yep. I think it is harder to think through that process if especially if you're new, right? So you don't know what you don't know. Getting into it, you're not going to know like, okay, well, brides actually feel this way if you don't respond to them within 24 hours. If you're new to the industry,
Yeah.
I had a bride of mine reach out yesterday morning. I'm supposed to do an engagement session with her tomorrow. Yesterday, I emailed a ton of people. I got a ton of work done. I didn't get to her email. She called me this morning, like, "Hey, I wanted to make sure you got my email about the engagement session tomorrow." I was like, "Okay, yeah. No, we're good to go." But brides, definitely, that's a huge point. But you don't know that until you are having a bride knock down your door.
The branding, that first impression you have with the client. Here's the thing. It's incredibly important. It really is.
Yep.
Like, I think in the photo world, photographers are more savvy to this. Videographers, I cannot tell you how many times I've looked at someone's logo and said, I would never hire that guy based on his logo.
Yeah, because it looks like a production guy logo.
Yeah, and this is, if you're hearing this, I'm going to say something. This is my opinion. If you're making a bunch of money with this, whatever, who cares what I say?
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. But like, when I look at the wedding brand and it says blah, blah productions, I'm like, why are you, like the client doesn't understand what that means. It's just like, it's obvious. I can already tell you what the person's going to say, which is if I had a private involvement with that guy, it's like, so what do you love? Well, I don't really want to be doing weddings long term. I really want to be doing production work.
Okay.
It's just like, it's obvious in your branding that you don't really want to be doing the weddings. And like, you're kind of telling people through your branding, this is for everyone, not just you.
I might be doing weddings now, but I'm really Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
in case you didn't know.
or like it's a commercial product or what. It's not pretty. It doesn't fit onto the brand. It doesn't it's weird. It doesn't sound right. And like
with video people especially, I find that they're not thinking wedding industry, they're thinking video industry.
Yes.
And with photographers, I think I agree with you. A lot of photographers, I think the first thing most photographers that I see are good at isn't even photography. They're people. They're people.
Yeah. So, really successful photographers are all about their own personal brand.
Yep.
They know how to curate themselves.
Yes. Yep. So they know how to get people interested in the person And then when they're talking to people, they make them feel like you are talking to somebody who is great.
So like I'll contrast it. And maybe we'll have an image on screen if you're watching YouTube. I don't know. But like when you go to a photographer's personal page and you see their own, first of all, they always say, get to know me. They'll always have a post of themselves. It'll be shot by a professional. They'll be wearing cool clothes. They'll be aspirational. You'll be like, that could be my friend. That person's cool. When you go get to know a videographer's page, they'll always be standing there with 17 cameras.
I love those shots.
And I'm like, do you think that this...
Which, by the way, when I, as a videographer, look at them, I'm like, oh, yeah, he has some cool cameras. But that's not what the bride and groom are going to think.
I just think about, like...
They're going to be like, look at this nerd with cameras.
Well, and when we talk to brides, we sell a lot of weddings, so we get a lot of data, right? We work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And people criticize... If you don't know this, videographers, if you're bringing too much gear to the wedding, other people talk crap about you.
Yep. It's a point of sale for savvy videographers who are like, look, we're low footprint. We aren't like those guys, just so people are aware.
But that's your brand.
Yeah.
And so if you're telling people in your initial branding expectation, I'm going to come with a whole bunch of crap and I'm going to stand out at your wedding. They don't care if you're holding a red camera. All they go is, that camera's giant. I don't want that at my wedding.
Yep.
So like, I do think like in videography, like if you're running a videography business, we got to raise our game in the industry because we have a lot more negative stigmas to overcome than photographers. Photographers are like mostly like pretty 20-something-year-old millennial girls who wear all free people and are
the most general statement.
Yeah, like that's their perception in the world. Like they have a positive perception. They have Instagram friendly perception.
Yep.
And that's their brand.
Definitely.
And our brand, first of all, it's video. It doesn't fit as well in social media.
Yep.
Because it's less feed friendly.
Yep.
But second of all, we have a lot more gear. You have to be very careful with the message you send when that person sees you on their website and stuff. So your branding, the definition of branding is, what do people say about you when you're not around?
Yep.
Right? And so your brand is like anywhere from, it's not a logo. It's your reputation. That's your brand.
Yep.
And so when we talk branding, we're thinking social, logo, the work you release, the website, the way it navigates, the way that you talk about your brand. Like, so
the way you talk to people.
For us and our branding is set up so that a client knows exactly what to expect. We get about 600 or so leads a year who fill out a form. We send out around 200 contracts and we close around 106, around 180 contracts we send out. We close 160. What does that tell me? That tells me that from the moment someone heard about me or first experienced me, we're doing a good job curating, like calling the clients before they even get to us. Because a lot of people are having to talk to 600 people to close 5% of them.
Yep.
And we're having to talk to 600 people and we're closing 25% of them. So they're seeing our Instagram, they're reading our site, right? So our language is speaking in such a way, it's kind of low key, humorous, a little silly.
Yep.
They're like, oh, these guys seem like cool guys. Oh, our pictures are nice. Oh, I can imagine working with them. The pricing is right there.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I can afford that. So by the time they're filling out that form, they're already in the place where they're like, I want to work with these guys. They have good work. They seem cool. I get it.
So this kind of goes directly against some thought out there where some people are like, well, I only want to put a little bit of content out there so that people, get the hook out there so that I can get them on the phone, right?
Yeah.
To come and have a conversation with me. And then that's when I lay out my prices. That's when I lay out a more of a personality.
And
where
do
you think that line is? Yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem with that because if that's what you're trying to do, maybe you're in a very competitive market.
Yep.
And you know that let's be real, a lot of our work is comparable. You might be just as good as another guy, and it doesn't mean you're not both great.
Yep,
right? But
totally.
you can't separate yourself as well with the work.
We are the best.
We're the best.
We're the best stuff.
It's harder to separate yourself with your work than a lot of photographers and videographers want to admit. that the client experience is actually what sets them apart.
Totally.
And so like they know I got to get this person in the room with me. That's how I'm going to separate myself. That's cool. Your branding just needs to reflect that.
Yep.
Your branding needs to produce the client experience that you can close on.
Yep.
And I'm not telling you to do what we do. I'm telling you what we do works for us because it's producing the client experience we want. Because let's talk through the client experience, the overall belief system with ours. Because just if we were to sum it up really quick, what do we want the client experience to be with Stop Go Love?
So yeah, we didn't talk about that. So I off the top of my head, I would probably say, I want people to look back at Stop Go Love as one of the best vendors to be around on their wedding day, the easiest to work with through the entire process, and I guess the most professional. That's probably what I would
say. We talk about being easy.
Yep.
We talk about being fun, and we talk about having character and integrity.
Yep.
That's what we talk about a lot.
Yep.
And of course we want you to love your product.
Yes.
We want you to love your product. I'm always assuming that goes without saying if you're listening to this.
Well, yeah, if you've been doing video for a while, I mean, there's a certain expectation that you are good at what you do, I think.
Yeah, they wouldn't, like, let's just assume
that's the only reason you're around.
They wouldn't get a hold of you if they didn't like your product.
Yep.
But in terms of the client experience, we want it to be really easy, which that's a big deal to us. Easy.
Yes.
For you, like, and clear expectations and whatever. So for your brand, if you're running like a luxury brand and $8,000, maybe you might say like 8 to 10, maybe more. You might say like, I want it to be viewed as luxury or exclusive or creative. I don't know. Like maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. But whatever it is, like that client experience, that branding message that's on the front end, if you know if you want someone to view you as high end, everything has to tell that story.
Yeah, it has to be woven through everything.
Has to be like your logo has to look
Soup to
high
nuts.
end.
Yep.
All your work has to be high end.
Yep.
When you get to your site, like there are some people's work who I look at their work and I know I have to do an inquiry before I even go to their site. I'm never going to get a price from that person. That's cool. But I think if I look at your work and I'm like, this person's work isn't that good. Like it's not better than mine. And then I go and I'm like, now I got to get this is just my perception of our market. If somebody's looking at us and one of our competitors and then they get a hold of me and they can get the price in 5 seconds and it's a lot easier to book us,
they're going to go with us.
They're going to go with us.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So you better be freaking way better than me if you're not going to give that price up front.
Yep. 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 And that just goes back to making it easy, making it simple. And I mean, I think there's a totem pole of wedding vendors. In our case, videographers, photographers are higher on the totem pole. I find that usually when people are getting to videography and getting to DJ and getting to kind of all these, I don't want to offend people, but like auxiliary services, I'll say. So extra services. We're about to buy a cotton candy company. That is definitely one of the last things. The easier you can make
like
it,
to haves, not must haves.
Yes. So once you get to that point, people have already had a conversation with the venue. They've had a conversation with the caterer, with the photographer, with probably 4 to 5 other people, and they're like, I'm weddinged out. You know what? I don't want to have another 2-hour consultation where I have to buy someone dinner.
And I told me $2,500 for my photography, but I actually had to spend $4,500.
Just make it easy for people, man. Like if you're just like, hey, this is what we do, this is what we are, and this is how we. Great, all right. I find that when I'm on the phone with people, I'm just catching up with them. Like they're like ready to book. They're like, okay, good. I just want to check this off the list. Thank you for being easy and just being a normal person to talk to and not being super sales pitchy and like. So those are things that work to our advantage, I find.
So let's just kind of get into it. We've kind of talked about some of our beliefs about client experience. We believe it's a soup to nuts thing. We want it to get better. The more you experience us, we want to leave you wanting more at the end of the client experience. We want you to want to refer us.
Yep.
And we get a ton of referrals, not just from our couples, but from our vendors. We got 60 vendor referrals last year. Like in terms of our weddings spread, we get about 100 referrals a year.
Yeah.
Or more, depending on if they tell us or not.
And those are high quality leads because
referrals, your most high quality lead. It's your lead conversion.
Was
on
that 60%?
Your lead conversion on the referrals are very high. And so like we want that. We're all about client experience. And so let's just talk through the stages of client experience. We talked about branding.
Okay.
So let's just kind of get into really how we'll just chronologically, right? I think that you're talking, when it comes to client experience, you're really talking about a few different stages of client experience, and it all goes into one overall experience, which is kind of your branding, the experience they have before they even talk to you, your sales.
Yep.
What's the experience there? Your pre-wedding, like once they book, kind of how is that experience as they're getting up to the day, and then the wedding day experience, and then the post-wedding experience. You know, you really have, what is that, 6 stages?
Yeah.
No, that's 5 stages.
Yep.
You have 5 stages of wedding experience, and we really have a different way of handling each of them. Same belief system, but really kind of we it's very curated for us. We work very hard. So we'll kind of go branding. We got we talked about what it is. We have there's a bunch of components to your branding and your client experience there. Your social, your website, your marketing. Really, how much content do you even have out there? You know, and then is it consistent, and is it producing the right expectations? So there's a term you use a lot, client expectation. What is that? Why is that so important even before they even sit down and you pitch them a package?
Yeah, sure. So I think videography is very prevalent, where people go into a conversation with me on the phone and they're like, I know about wedding videography. I know that you deliver on tape and that you're going to give me some, or that you shoot on tape, you're going to deliver on DVDs, and boom, 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 and just being able to start from ground zero with someone new, because a lot of people, especially if you're talking to like a mom or a planner, someone who's not really, planners are much more savvy with videography, but some people, they just don't know about the service, so they have gotten the service maybe 20 years ago. They don't know that videography has changed substantially in even 30 years. But from
a branding perspective, before the person's even got a hold of you, does what you put out there help set the expectation? Like on our website, we have links to every deliverable.
Yep.
Oh, you want to see what a ceremony's like? You want to see what speeches are like? You want to see what this is like? You want to see what that is like? If a person wanted to, they could decide that they liked every deliverable in our package before they even got a hold of us.
Yes.
Like that message is out there.
Yep.
Create the right expectation of what to expect from not only what we're like personally and what it's like to work with us, but what do you get?
It also gives them questions to ask you when you get on the phone, which I like. They're going into it with information, essentially armed, ready to go. They're going to ask me, okay, I see that you deliver linear edits. What the heck's a linear edit? No one else uses this terminology. And I'm going to be like, great question. This is a linear edit. And so
let's get into sales then.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're a great sales experience, in my opinion, because I've bought cars and I've bought all kinds of things.
Oh, that's a great experience.
Yeah, it can be. No, it can't be. Has anyone ever had a good
only when I've been super passive and just kind of given up and said, take all this money.
I suppose if I was really rich and I was buying a Lamborghini, that would probably be a great experience.
Yeah.
I would probably love that experience because I'm like, look how rich I am. I'm just thinking about how rich I am the whole time.
And you just throw money at the dealer.
Walk in with cash. A pile of cash. I remember hearing a story of Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins, and during his heyday, he walked into a Ferrari dealership with a briefcase of cash and bought a Ferrari.
Wait, Is that in Welcome to America? What movie is that in?
I don't know. I feel like it's in a million movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, sales experience is a good sales experience is all about one where you felt like you were treated with respect, but probably more than anything, the person gave you very clear expectations and you knew exactly what you were buying.
Yep.
Right. And so when we think about client experience, we think a little less like we don't really do a lot of in-person meetings.
No. And we used to. And when we first started, we would do a lot and we would buy people like steak dinner and everything. But quickly we realized that really isn't that important to people.
Yeah, it was not the experience they're looking for.
Yeah. And also, we figured out what our market was for the product that we're trying to sell. And we were like, well, a lot of people, by the time they get to videographers, they don't want to have to go out. They want to be able to watch Netflix. And
most of our weddings are like in the top 15% of the market. And we work with a lot of planners. And there are weddings where we don't even really talk to the couple.
Yep.
Like they don't have time. Like that hustle and flow thing. Like we're busy people working with busy people.
Yeah.
They don't want to meet us. They just want it to be easy.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that they when I heard them say that, I was like, oh, that's so good, because it's just like, look, we're not going to deal with you unless you're, unless you are on board with who we are. Like we're busy people. We're constantly working, and we're not going to be great. They kind of outline like we're not going to be great at satisfying your every whim. So if you're super high maintenance, just know we're probably not going to be a good fit.
Yeah,
for you.
shout out to the Hans, by the way, with what they're doing with Hustle Flow.
I love it.
It's great stuff.
They crush it.
Definitely check them out, and they're really strong on sales. Will help you out a lot.
Yeah.
But for sure, like that sales experience is really setting the tone for what it's going to be like to work with you.
Yep.
And so, what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes people make in sales?
I think being intimidated and not being able to say no to somebody. I was on the phone yesterday with a bride, and she was talking about like, I want Stop Go Love, but I want to have you and Jason do the video. And I was like, well, that's great. Like we're good videographers. We don't really do that. We don't do that. And like what we're doing is, this is our brand. This is Stop Go Love. This is what we do. We have awesome videographers who do just as good of a job as we would. We shoot consistently across the board. If you want Jason and I, we're starting this new business. If you want to be on the forefront of that, but it's a different price point. Like that's just what it is. And not being willing to just be like, oh yeah, that's what you want. Be willing to lose the sale. I think. We were talking before we started.
Nobody likes somebody who's thirsty.
Yeah.
It's not attractive. It's not attractive to men or women. It's not attractive to clients. If a client thinks, we always talk about the law of least interest. If a client thinks that you need them more than they need you, you will lose the sales negotiation every time.
Yep. And they'll feel like they can negotiate.
Crush you.
Yeah. And at one point, I think we were willing to negotiate maybe a little bit more.
Because we did need them more than they needed us.
Because we needed the work. Yeah. Now it's just like, well, I have 4 spots available on this day. If you're one of them, we want you to be one of them. But if you're not going to fill this role, then someone else most likely will. So like, it's just that's kind of where we are. So being willing to say no, not make exemptions for people just because they ask. If you are going to
because you're setting the wrong message there. You're giving them a client experience in their head that maybe you can't deliver. So let's talk a little what in the sales thing. Yeah, this is good. If you're listening to this, I'm going to rock your world right now because
sock it to me.
Yeah, let's talk about ideal clients. Okay. This is the fantasy of.
You're going to do it right now.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
this is it. This is like
the moment.
This is like your biggest pet peeve of all time.
I hate this stuff because it's so counterintuitive to business. Like Coca-Cola doesn't say, who's our ideal client? You know who their ideal client is? Someone who wants Coke.
Yep.
We were looking for people who want a soft drink. You know what they do too? They go, well, some people don't want calories in their soft drink. We need to make a diet one.
Yep.
Well, some people don't want it to taste like this. We'll make Coke Zero. Oh, some people want an orange flavored.
That's when they got me.
Yeah.
They actually
I
got
do
me
love that
recently,
orange.
yeah.
It's good.
Coke with
But
vanilla, so good.
So in real business, which if you're running a wedding creative business, hopefully you're running a real business and not a passion project that's just a fantasy. But in real business, the ideal client is the client that you can make happy with the service and product that you have, right? And so that's my definition. My ideal client is a person who I can make happy, who helps expand and grow my brand.
Yep. So, yeah, I guess.
Not like the person with a certain haircut or a certain age, even a certain temperament.
Yeah.
Like,
So with our business, it's definitely applicable. But I guess what would you say to the person who's limited on, okay, I only have 30 wedding dates available. I want to have brides that match my brand, and they're willing to turn down maybe weddings with a certain venue or something along those lines. Would you still say, take what you can get?
I don't think I ever said take what you can get. I don't necessarily think that. I just think when you start taking people and trying to make decisions about them before you've even worked with them, you're on a slippery slope. You're setting yourself to make up a bunch of bad business decisions. So let's imagine two scenarios. Scenario A, every single one of your leads for an entire year comes in 1 week, and you get to pick exactly who you want to work with. In that scenario, you can find an ideal client with the exact portfolio you're looking to build. And in that scenario, great. Pick your ideal client. The real world doesn't work like that. The real world works, you get a drip of leads, hopefully a steady drip, and you don't know what's going to happen the next day. And you can book weddings, and then somebody calls you, and you're like, darn it, I wish I took that wedding. And I think you can, if you've been doing it long enough, you might, and you're tracking your leads, and you're tracking your conversion rates, and you're tracking everything, you can start saying, like, I'm going to get 600 leads, and I don't want to shoot at the Radisson. I'm not going to shoot any weddings at the Radisson because then I'm not going to have as much marketing material. I need at least 20 weddings that are marketable. Like, make the decisions data-driven. Don't just make them based on some fantasy in your head of who you want to work with. If you know you're going to get a bunch of good leads every year, and you've tracked this, and you have a good expectation, by all means, pick people who are going to create the portfolio that is going to produce the price point you want and the clients you want. I don't have a problem with that. I just think you got to earn that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And you can, and there's a paper trail you can establish if you have earned it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't have any leads and you don't even track your leads and you have no idea about that stuff, I question whether or not this is the problem you should be solving for your business. Ideal clients.
Yeah.
I would say lead generation.
And I guess that would be my problem with it is it's fine to curate if you have a limited amount of space and you're like, hey, I'm not going to shoot at the Radisson or Holiday Inn.
Jose Villa
I'm gonna
should only work with people he wants to work with.
Yep.
That dude is going to be in demand.
The problem is when it's sold to everybody, especially people just starting out, like who are not booked.
It's not a way to grow your business.
Find the people that will, make your portfolio look good. It's like, well, yeah, you'll get those, but also you just need to get paid, dude. You need to pay off your credit card because you have $10,000 in debt.
Well, not every wedding needs to
for
get
your camera.
Every wedding that you shoot doesn't need to go on your feed.
Yep.
Every wedding you shoot doesn't need to go on your feed forever.
Yep.
Like, you can curate this stuff.
Yep.
But if you have like 40 weddings instead of 20, it gives you a lot more opportunities. And this is the last thing I'm going to say about ideal clients. You're not omniscient. Mm-hmm. You don't know. We've all worked with people, and we know some warning signs now. But in general, I'll reference a wedding a few years ago where we had a wedding with a bride who kind of high maintenance, had some kind of ridiculous requests. Wasn't a great experience for us. And I was like, oh, like I in my gut, I was like, oh, we can make this person happy. Like I said, I want to be able to make you happy and grow my brand.
Yep.
And then I remember questioning, like, was this a good fit? Should we have taken this wedding?
Yep.
At the end of it, though, She had a great experience. She was really happy. She gave us a very positive review, and I believe we got 2 weddings off of her wedding of referrals. And so I was wrong. I was wrong that she was not an ideal client. I was wrong.
I think that's super true, and it's funny how a lot of people that you would think, oh, this might not be a good fit. They're high maintenance. You got to realize they're not just high maintenance for your service. They're high maintenance probably across the board. So it's like they're asking all these random requests of everybody. And if you're the person who goes above and beyond and does way more than everyone, you are the best vendor in their eyes. You're like, oh, wow, these people, I asked them to do all these edits in their wedding film, and you know what? They did it, and they did it within a week.
And they didn't nickel and dime me, and
they had no problem with it. And meanwhile, we're in the back like, we got Kyle. I have to go into the edit bay. I have to be like, Kyle, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do a little bit of work on this one and, work with the song on this one. And
and that doesn't happen very often.
No.
Right?
No.
It's not like, and so like when you're focusing so much on curating your ideal client, you're focusing on something that's kind of a waste of your time, in my opinion, because I do think venues matter more than clients. I think saying my ideal wedding is a better thing to look at than my ideal client.
Yep.
Because you don't really know, like, unless you're willing to be like, I'm not gonna, like, and this, if you do this, you're a jerk, by the way. But if you're like, I'm not going to work with fat people, like, come on, like, if you're willing to do that and you actually can get all supermodel brides all paying you, okay, I guess who am I to judge? But for us normal people that have to work with people who pay us, and that's our number one criteria.
Yep.
Step 1,
money.
did you reach out to me?
Yep.
Step 2, did you pay me? And step 3, can I make you love it?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's my ideal client.
Yep.
And it's not wears a certain thing, looks a certain way.
Yep.
Obviously we don't want to be shooting weddings that are just, there's a percentage of your weddings that you can probably get away with not being good enough for your branding. If you want to get that detailed, where you're tracking like ahead of time, Instagram worthy, and you're saying, I need 50% of my portfolio when I'm booking to be marketable, that makes sense to me too. Like, I don't have a problem with that. But anyway, in your sales, client experience, you're good at consultations. How do you make sure that a consultation is a great experience and also setting the tone for their future experiences with you?
Man, I think making it relational, I think is a big deal to me. You see some people who are like, oh, I want to be friends with all of my clients. And I think there's definitely a difference between being relational and being a friend of somebody.
You know what I do with my friends? I text them at midnight.
Yeah.
So if you don't like that, then don't say that thing.
Yeah. But I make it relational.
If you like it, go for it, by the way.
So I don't know, something that I do when I catch up with people is the first things that I'm asking them isn't, well, how did you, were you guys engaged? What's the story? I'm not talking about anything wedding related. I'm like, how's your day at work today? Like, what are you doing? What are you guys into? Like, kind of just making it just like we're having a normal conversation, and it's not, their part-time job of, okay, I'm in wedding planning mode. Kind of, I feel like it breaks down that wall. But that's very specific on just my personal preference on sales. Like, I don't think I'm too pushy. I think I'm very fact-driven, and I give people all the facts, and I'm fair that way.
One of the things I think that we do and you do effectively when we sell is, we're setting expectations that we're relational, low-key, easy to get along with, nice. But then we're setting expectations of the client experience is going to be easy. And so we're going to say, how can we make this?
Yeah.
How do we let you know that? Okay, we're going to tell you everything you're going to get.
Yep.
We're going to explain it to you.
Yep.
We're going to talk through all the deliverables. When they try to kind of catch us, I'm like, well, how much time do I get? Like for us, by the way, we say like 6 to 10 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
So they know that's not going to be an issue.
We want to be there. We do. We want to be there all day. Like I don't want to. And I think that's a plus because people at that point, when we say, oh, we're 6 to 10 hours, usually we're there 9 to 10 hours, you let us know.
And we just say, we want to tell the whole story.
It lets people know that you're not going to nickel and dime them.
Yes.
Which is important to people because getting in the wedding, world where the venue's charging people $80 for, tablecloths or whatever.
Well, every single wedding,
linens.
Every single wedding photographer is teaching everyone how to nickel and dime and upsell you to crap.
Yeah, if you're just like, well, we're gonna be there. I'm not really into because we just want to do a good job. So I don't want my couple to tell me, okay, well, I only want you there for 5 hours. If that means that the product is going to be less because they're not going to understand, and you don't want to set yourself up for
if I could have had an
conflict.
epic product that I can get marketing off of, I have a crappy product.
Well, your client's not going to understand if they're like, why is this not as good as those other videos? And you're like, well, you only had me there for 5 hours instead of 7 hours. Like, they're not going to understand that. And they don't care. They just want a good product. So just telling them, hey, 6 to 10 hours, we're not going to be.
And so we have limits, by the way. We don't let clients set the experience. We tell them this is what it takes to get the product that you fell in love with, and you got a hold of us for. And we don't really customize it too much. It's pretty much like, did you like it?
Yep.
This is how it takes to get it. But it's very clear. And so I think like if your sales process, the client experience is like really cool, you have the right latte, you're wearing the right hat, you're in the right room, all that stuff. But then at the end of it, they're kind of like, they think they're getting the world. And then it's kind of, they have no idea that your album costs $2,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're thinking like, what the heck? At the end of it, you pretty much, because you failed at sales and you set the wrong expectations, you created a bad client experience after wedding when they come in and they are like, so when do I get my photos? Oh, well, it's in the contract.
Yeah.
It's like
you've already lost at that point.
You've lost.
Yep.
And the person walked away with a bad taste in their mouth. And you can rant to your Facebook groups and complain and do whatever you want about how it was in your contract and it was really clear. But I would say like that sales experience that you have an opportunity to set the tone for the entire relationship.
Yep.
And I think you do a really good job about that.
And that stuff happens, by the way.
Yes.
It's just going to happen. There's going to be miscommunications. Like I'm not going to pretend like I'm perfect on the phone and doing sales and setting client expectations. Sometimes I'll get on the phone with people and I'll just have a bad connection with them. Yep. Like I'll break up a little bit. They'll say, "Oh yeah, you broke up a little bit, but we're good," and they'll just miss something that I said. You know, and so.
But if the client experience is good, you've put change in your pocket to deal with mistakes.
Yeah, and if the mistake happens, I always am really going to blame myself. Like that is my fault. Like,
sorry.
Yeah,
like, apologize, be humble.
Exactly. Like, oh my goodness, saying you're sorry, like it's my fault, wins you so many battles. Like I can't even tell you. Like especially when it actually is your fault. You're not expected to be perfect. Like, sorry, I totally missed that email. Like,
sorry, I didn't communicate clearly that my album costs $2,000 and you're not getting any photos.
Yeah,
and that it's actually a $6,000 photography package, not a $4,000.
I just think if they have assumptions that were wrong, I'm usually going to take extreme ownership and be like, okay, well, we're going to make it right because at the end of the day, unless it's going to cost. I mean, we've even done things where it has cost us thousands of dollars to make it right. Like. We've gone above and beyond. Like someone will, this is kind of out of the stream of conversation, but somebody who gets dumped. We've had it happen. Brides that split up. Their fiance has another family in Aruba or whatever has happened. Like we've had plenty of people who've called off engagements. So this poor girl is calling me and she's saying, we're not having the wedding, Teddy left me or whatever.
Yeah. Something and like you're a human being first, by the way, before you're a photographer or videographer.
And even though it says in our contract, even though I have full rights to their money to hold on to it forever, we've paid those people back. And you know what?
Karma, man.
It comes around to you, dude. Like it really does. Like we've had people that it's happened to, and then they've come back to us and they've ordered higher video packages because they've had another 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to, actually look at your work and
Find a new husband.
find a husband that makes more money. and you know, we've had that happen where we're like, okay, we're going to do this small video package. Then they come back and they're like, oh, I want you for photo booth. Because you've won a fan that way. Maybe it's somebody in their family. Like that stuff just happens.
Yeah,
So,
a great client experience is how you create advocacy, not a great product.
Yep.
Like
exactly.
not a great brand.
Exactly.
Like it's everything combined together that creates
Yep.
client experience, that creates and by the way, a great client experience will get passed on to the vendors around them because if you work with a planner and the bride who works with that planner says, "Oh my gosh, Stop Go Love was so great." Do you know who that makes look good? The planner.
Yep.
And that planner will refer the crap out of you because they want to have happy clients.
Yep.
Your goal is to make people happy.
Yep.
That's your goal. Your goal is not even to produce good work. Like, even though I know that you need good work to make
It's the good
people
work
happy,
that makes them happy.
but your goal as a business is to make people happy
Yes.
and to make people
Yes.
love you
Yep.
and have a great time. And like, that's a human goal I can get behind, by the way, because it makes me feel fulfilled as a person.
Completely.
And it also makes me feel fulfilled
And,
as an artist.
It is so much better feeling great as a human than feeling great as an artist, by the way.
I know a lot of
because
people who do great work who hate what they do.
I feel like if you're a great artist, you're a great artist for like 3 days out of the year. You know, the rest of the year you're just struggling and like, I suck at everything. It's miserable, but you can always be a pretty good person, right?
Yes.
Like it's much easier, I think, to be a great person than it is to be a great artist.
Great integrity is good business.
Yes, yes.
It's just what it is. And like client experience and sales, setting that experience in a way
Yep.
that they know exactly what they're getting. They know by when.
Yep.
They know all these things, and they also know what you're like. Are you guys cool? Are you low key? Are you luxury?
Yep.
I think it's important to set those expectations. Like
Yep.
if you know, like for instance, we barely meet people in person because we want people to know if you want to talk to us, it's going to be by phone or email. That's the best for you.
And by the way,
we will meet people in person.
Again, yeah. If they're calling and they're like, we just want to feel comfortable with this person, great. Like, come on in, we'll meet. But
we
usually
don't suggest it.
But when I say that, I'm like, okay, great. You want to meet in person? Okay, our office hours are, you know, it's implied sales. It's, you know, if you're going to meet us, and I don't tell people, well, the only way we meet with people is if they come in person. I'm saying, okay, great. Well, our office is open, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We can make sure that I'm there or somebody's there to talk to you. It's implied. It's, hey, we are excited
But
that
either
you're
way,
coming
you're
in.
setting the experience
Yes.
in their mind that they can't. Like, if that's a big problem for you, that you don't want people emailing you at midnight, don't respond. That's you.
Yep.
You're setting that expectation with the client that I am accessible 24/7. By the way, if you want to do that, I don't freaking care. Go ahead and email me back at 1 a.m. Do whatever you want to do.
Some people swear by it, man. They're like,
Do whatever you need to do. But like, you're setting expectations for the client experience, and that's what it is. So pre-wedding, let's assuming they loved it, they love your product, they had a great time in sales, and everything worked out great.
Something I'll mention too, really quick. I guess this is an in between sales and pre-wedding too, is having a good paper trail. Like we talk about it a lot. Like, so even if somebody is like, oh, I thought this was, something different that you guys sold or whatever, you have a paper trail of, no, well, we actually talked about it. Here's the email that we talked about. Now, saying that, I obviously there's something that was misunderstood along the way by, I don't say by you, but something was misunderstood around the way. Even though I wrote this down and we did our best to help you understand, something was misunderstood. We're still going to do our best.
I'm sorry, it wasn't clear.
Yes.
That's really saying that could mean whatever they want it to mean.
But I feel like if you have a good paper trail, they know it was clear. They just ignored it. People know. People
a conversation is not defensible.
It at least
has to be in writing.
It at least covers your butt, and especially someone's going to be very gracious with you if you're like, oh, well, that's why we sent you it in the email. We definitely want people to be super, informed on what's delivered. But I understand there's a misunderstanding. That being said, I'm going to do what's right for you. Like they're going to be much more gracious, even though because they know they messed up. They see it actually in person.
I talk
and
about
it protects
this a
you
lot,
legally.
right? Turning a loss into a win. how do you take those situations and actually make them a positive experience for a client?
Totally. Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
Yep.
Is like you're taking what could have been a loss for you, which is maybe you made a mistake, or maybe in their mind you made a mistake, and you're making it a positive experience by being gracious and helpful. And it's like client experience,
because they don't expect you to react well to it, and when you do react well to it, you exceed their expectations, even though there was some sort of
client experience is not client reality. It's their opinion of working with you. It's not necessarily the truth. And so a lot of people get that confused, and they're like, well, I said it. It's in my contract. Your contract is like, that is not a communication
Our lawyer
tool.
has to remind us of that all the time.
So stupid.
A contract is not a way to
communicate
services to people.
It's just there for lawyers to protect you. Like your client experience needs to be a real human communication, whether it be in an email, which I consider human communication, a text message, your website, in a consultation, anything you want someone to know and be able to function with and that will impact their experience with you should be communicated. It shouldn't be in a contract. Right? And if you don't communicate your contract well, shame on you. It's on you. So we're going to make this a two-parter. So if you haven't subscribed on Apple Podcasts, or if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you don't hit the bell, go ahead and do that. We are here for you. Let us know what you want to talk about.
We also did just start a Facebook group as well. So
it's a community.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of what we want to bring to the wedding world is discussion, really. So there's a lot of I don't know, Facebook and these places. A lot of times they can get pretty toxic. We want to have a pretty tightly knit kind of community, and I think a good Facebook group is the way to do that. So,
ranges of opinions. We want like one of the issues I have with a lot of Facebook groups is like it's obvious that there's a certain methodology that runs the group. And it's like, if you don't subscribe to it, you get shot down and shouted down, or your comments are hidden, or or something like that. And it's like, we're just looking to bring some business stuff to the table. We're not looking to make a bunch of money off a bunch of people. So anyway, check out our next episode. Thanks for checking out the Wedding Pros Podcast.